Hi, and welcome to episode 27 of Pilates Flows at Atlantis, a series where I'll demonstrate and give you the tools to do the sequences I post on Instagram. Now let's get started. So in today's video, we'll be doing a lower body stretch routine that I posted a while ago. In that routine, we were using the box on the bottom of the reformer, and we start out with some really great quad stretches, which I do find sometimes hard to do on the reformer, as well as some low spine mobility work. Now, let's get the reformer set up. Start by putting on one blue spring, then lower your foot bar all the way down. Grab the box and place it across the carriage so that the bottom of the box meets up with the bottom of the carriage. The top of the box rests onto the foot bar. For the first move, get onto the reformer with your upper back and shoulders resting on the box. Your right foot flat in front of the right shoulder block. Your left toes back at the very bottom edge of the carriage. On your exhale, slowly bring the carriage back towards the box, letting the left knee drop towards the carriage as far as it'll go. You should feel a stretch through your quad and through your left hip flexors. Then on your inhale, slowly push the carriage back out. This can stay as a moving stretch with you moving on your inhale and exhale, or you could hold this as a static stretch with your left knee down towards the carriage. For the second move, we'll keep the same setup as the first, with the right foot out in front of the right shoulder block, the left toes at the bottom edge of the carriage. Engage your right leg to keep a little bit of stability through the hips, and on your inhale, arch your low back, letting your tailbone reach for the floor, going as deep as you can while not crunching into the low back. Then on your exhale, tighten the abs, tuck the tailbone, and carefully lift the pelvis back up to the ceiling. Think about creating a S-wave motion with your low spine, lifting and lowering one vertebrae at a time. For our third move, we'll again work on mobilizing our low spine, but with both feet flat on the carriage this time in a stable bridge. Again, on your inhale, arch your low back, letting your tailbone reach down towards the carriage, going as far as you can without crunching into the low back. Then on your exhale, tighten the abs, tuck your pelvis, and start to lift the tailbone back up to the ceiling, coming into your high bridge. Again, think about doing an S wave with your spine, reaching towards the floor on your inhale and towards the ceiling on your exhale. For our last move, we'll start in our double leg bridge. On your inhale, start to press the carriage out. Once you start to feel the toes lift, press down through the heels even more, flexing your feet back to you as hard as you can and engaging the hamstrings. Then on your exhale, start to bring the carriage back in, letting your feet come flat onto the carriage. Pull the heels past the knees up towards your butt, bending your knee through as deep a range of motion as you can. And that is it for today's video. Now remember, for that first stretch that we did at quadricep and hip flexor stretch, we got onto the box with our back on the box, and we got our feet set up to where we had one foot out against the shoulder block, the opposite foot back at the very bottom edge of the carriage. I started with my right toes out and my left toes back at the bottom edge of the carriage. We press that carriage all the way out, And then as you slowly let that carriage pull back down towards the bottom edge of the reformer, My left knee was pulling down towards the carriage, getting that really good quadricep and hip flexor stretch on that side before pressing it back out. Now remember, it can always be a moving stretch to where you're moving on your inhale and exhale, or if you want to make it more of an isometric stretch, again, you brought the carriage all the way back down to within a range of motion that you felt was good for you, and just held there and really focused on your breath, really trying to relax the muscles and everything on that exhale. Then for our second stretch or spine mobilization, we kept the same setup we did for the first. We pressed that carriage all the way out so that our right leg was fully straight. We activated all the muscles in that right leg to kind of help stabilize there. We still had our left toes at the bottom edge of the carriage to act as a help of lifting and lowering as we did a little mobilization work on our low spine. First, we arched our back, letting our tailbone drop down towards the reformer. Again, only staying within a good range of motion, especially if you have any low back injuries, being mindful not to overarch and really crunch into your low back, but getting that stretch through the front side body as we contracted through the back side. Then once you dropped your tailbone as low as you could, we reversed that and we tucked the tailbone, engaging through the abdominals, lengthening out the back side as we lifted our tailbone back up, coming back up into that kind of single leg bridge variation that we were in. So again, on your inhale, you are arching the low back, let the tailbone drop down. Then on your exhale, you're tightening the abs and lifting the tailbone back up. Think about going up and down one vertebrae at a time. Then for our third spinal mobilization stretch that we did today, we did a double leg bridge spine mobilization series. So we had both feet flat right in front of those shoulder blocks. Again, our shoulders are still resting on the box. We lifted our hips all the way up, engaging through our core, squeezing through our glutes and hamstrings. And then again, on our inhale, we relaxed our abdominals. We tightened a little bit across the low back as we let our tailbone drop down, arching our low back, trying to bring that tailbone down as close to the carriage as you could. Again, stay within whatever range of motion feels good for you so that you're getting more of a stretch and no crunch on that back side. If you're crunching, then you need to tighten the abs a little bit more. Once that tailbone got down as low as we could, in that bridge variation, we then reversed that. We tucked the tailbone, tightened the abs, and thought about lifting that tailbone back up one vertebrae at a time, doing kind of a little S wave with our low spine. Then for our fourth and final stretch and mobility exercise that we did, we focused a little bit more on our knees and ankles. So we kept that double leg bridge stance that we were in with our feet flat in front of the shoulder blocks, our shoulders on the box. We carefully pressed that carriage out until the heels could only stay on the carriage. We flexed the feet, pressing down through the heels to send the carriage out that little bit further. And then we reversed that motion. We brought our feet back down flat onto the carriage. We pulled that carriage back down and we pulled the carriage past the knee. So again, we're getting a little extra bend through that knee there. Then again, on your inhale, press out, press out, press out. So you start to feel the feet lift, press down through those heels, flex the feet back to you, and then start to exhale, bring the carriage back in, engaging through the hamstring, pressing down through your flat feet, bringing the heel behind the knee. And that will be it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video or if you learned something, please leave me a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.